Supermoon Tarot, and in today's video we're going to be going over October predictions. My spirit guides had a special request for this video. They wanted me to focus on things that have been haunting you and now you're ready to let them go, or it's time to let them go. Things that are no longer serving you, and what can you do to prep or open up in order to better receive the things that you do want. Of course, anything else that pops up in the readings we're going to be talking about as per usual. In addition to that, if you are interested in supporting me, I have a Patreon where I have an enormous amount of content, exclusive content over there. I just posted 2 new videos. One of those videos is a continuation on a Major Arcana series where I both break down a particular card. I go into a lot of detail about it, all the different ways you can look at it, but then I channel the archetype of said card, which is really interesting. The archetypes exist in the spirit realm, and this time I did the Magician last time, and this time I'm doing the Empress. And then the second video I posted over there is a meditation about focusing and finding and looking for your biggest fear. Keep in mind, we are keeping it non-specific, as in not to put anyone in an uncomfortable state of mind, so it's ambiguous, that state of fear. We're not going into specifics, but it's about going towards it, learning how you both create your fears, but also can simultaneously destroy it. That's the main focus we're looking at, and interacting with that and getting in that state of mind, but exercising our abilities to have control of ourselves. In addition to that, as per usual, I wanted to let you guys know that I have an updated version of my intuition training course and my tarot training course. So not only is it prettier, but it has a wonderful workbook included with questionnaires and checklists to that much better integrate the knowledge. An intuition training course, you go to the spirit realm, meet your spirit guides, but you learn how the non-physical world and the physical world overlap more than you realize, and how they can both be useful in both sides. And then in the tarot training course, it goes into tarot. It makes the process super simple with an over 100-page document going right into reading the cards. But while it simplifies the process, it doesn't take away any of the details. Love both of those. I'm very proud of them. Just letting you guys know they exist. But anyways, let's go back to our reading. We have 4 groups in front of us. In group number 1, we have Titanium. And group number 2, we have Black Tourmaline. And group number 3, we have Amethyst. And group number 4, we have Onyx. I'm going to give you a moment to pick the group that you're gravitating towards. Remember, just hold October predictions, that concept in your head, hold it, and go towards where you're resonating and gravitating towards. I'll give you a moment to do so. Now that you've picked the group that you're vibing with most, let's get started with group number 1. Group number 1, let's look at October predictions by looking at the cards. We have the Hierophants upright, the 8 of Cups in reverse, the 3 of Wands upright, the 8 of Wands upright, the Sun card in reverse, the Ace of Pumpkins or Ace of Pentacles in reverse, and the Ace of Bats or Swords in reverse. Interesting. Okay, my spirit guide is telling me to put the cards like this. Okay, give me 1 second to look at this information and consult my spirit guides. I'll be with you in 1 moment. Okay. This one's pretty interesting. I love this one. This one's pretty interesting. They're all fantastic, but I think this is kind of the first time I've heard this. But anyway, so let's focus on this. So first, this set of cards is about the idea of what has been haunting you and it's time to let go of. So in the Hierophant upright and the Eight of Cups in reverse, I'm being told by a spirit guide that for a long time you've sort of had this mantra in your head that you feel you haven't risen to sort of the level you would like to get to. This could be, especially with the Hierophant, referring to this idea of education. Maybe you didn't reach a certain level that you thought you were going to reach, or maybe it's just never good enough. Like maybe you did the work in college, but you find yourself struggling to find the job and the financial amount receiving back that mirrors that. Or maybe in general, because remember, education can come in so many different ways. In general, you're like a very smart, skilled person and you're just frustrated not feeling like you're getting that in return. And in general, to be honest with you, it doesn't feel like bitterness. It feels much more like self-hating. It's too high of an expectation you've put on yourself, and it feels like if you let that concept go, let that mantra go, it's like you're giving up. Like, well, if I just settle, that's what it feels like, rather than what it actually is. It's one state of mind, and that's an important thing I want to focus on here. It's a single state of mind to view things as winning and losing, success, failure. But there are other ways to view life. There's third and fourth and fifth options. And I want to focus on this imagery right here. This is actually perfect. I love that this is a huge reason why I'm very much an advocate for working with many tarot cards. Every card imagery is going to have their own feel, and that helps extend to the idea. So we have this pyramid here, and this is the representation of you working towards this goal and just not quite feeling like you're getting there. You know what I mean? It just feels like it's above you constantly. A pedestal, and this is a common thing people do, and I'm going to come back to the idea, and it's important we're going to come back to the idea. But if you notice in the Eight of Cups, it actually, in the imagery with the cups, kind of looks like a reverse pyramid within itself. So we have this sort of going up, feeling down, going up, feeling down. You can see how these ideas are fighting against each other, and you're never quite going anywhere with both the sort of emotional attitude that you're kind of bringing to the situation mixed with the expectation you feel like you're not getting back and where you'd like to go. Again, this is not at all a criticism. We're just talking about the understanding of feeling where you've been and how frustrating that's probably been feeling back and forth. But I also want to point out something that mirrors this idea even more in the Eight of Cups in reverse. So Eight of Cups in reverse is an extremely, extremely frustrating card to be when it comes up. It essentially refers to this idea of someone really trying. Like, you're definitely somebody who makes an effort in their life to go where they want to go, to dream, to put things into action. There's a lot of effort in many ways towards that. But it feels like you're never quite going anywhere other than circles. Nothing ever feels like it's building upon anything, and it's frustrating because compared to other people, you can't say you didn't try. You did, but it's even more frustrating because you can often feel silly, like, I tried really hard, where am I going? It's a frustrating place to be. But here's the cool thing. You're gonna just, and I know this sounds super simple, but just stick with me here. You're gonna try exercising a different opinion. Now, we're gonna keep this pretty open because you gotta find what works for you. But when you find yourself using certain jargon, like, I'm not where I wanna be, I shouldn't be in this position, oh, but this is where I want to be in 10 years, blah, blah, blah. You're going to need to just stop speaking that way. It's funny. We're going to actually come back to that idea down here. And this is why I think this is so interesting. You're going to do whatever you can to, yes, focus on the present. That's always a fantastic place to be in. But it's just about being self-aware about how you speak and understanding that any form of judgment towards yourself, you're just going to stop. It's okay if you don't feel comfortable right now saying, like, I am actually good enough and everything is okay. In fact, actually, I highly even recommend just kind of keeping it super neutral. Like, just remove the expectation you have on yourself by when you find yourself thinking in certain patterns or speaking in certain ways where you're like, I wish, like we said, I wish I was here. Why hasn't this happened? You just stop talking about it. And instead just replace it with literally anything else. What are you going to have for lunch? Do you think you're going to hang out with your friends this weekend? Oh, I think I'd like to check out that show. What did I think about that show? Just literally go as neutral as possible. Now, in time, this can change and grow and become the opposite, and you can become more self-loving. But sometimes it's nice just to take a break from that headspace at all. Just give it a break. Just think about literally anything else, because it's a sort of mantra and a habit, and you have to kind of pull yourself out in a different position in order to even see outside of that thinking. But again, it's not about being like, think this way. We're just saying, just don't think about these things you've talked about. Again, when you find yourself saying the conversational points, you're just going to stop yourself and go, I'm going to look at the clouds. Like literally change the subject. Think of it like you're changing the subject with yourself. And over time, new thoughts will come in. New habits will come in. Different focuses and ideas will come in. Because right now, it might not be the most helpful to hear things like, no, you're going to do great. You're going to have all your dreams come true. Or, oh my gosh, you're fantastic. You're wonderful. You're perfect. There's nothing wrong with you. You're doing a great job. That might not hit for you right now. That might not feel like the thing that you vibe with. And guess what? Give it some time. That beautiful self-loving tends to sneak up on us, and it's much more powerful when we have the room and space to hear it. So just give it a break for now. Just relax. Just know like you are trying and you are wonderful. But again, if this isn't what you exactly want to hear, just take a break from that sort of expectation you're putting on yourself. Now, going on from that idea to what's no longer serving us, this one's really interesting because it's not necessarily stop doing what you're doing, but approach it in a different way. So over here, we have the Three of Wands. This, in the Three of Wands and the Eight of Wands here, the Eight of Wands is this idea of opportunities. I'm really happy to say there are opportunities around your corner. So talk about you giving a break from certain headspace and still receiving it anyway. Isn't that how it always goes? But anyways, in the Three of Wands, this is you having an opinion. But an opinion you can't quite let go out into the ether fully and then be sort of responded to, I guess is the best way I can say. So what I mean by when I say this, and this is how my spirit guide was explaining it is, so these opinions are things that you would put out there and be okay if someone had an opinion with it or used that idea you had, and this could be the representation of an idea you had, and that idea then gets taken out into the ether and then changed and contorted into something new. It's like you want it to be left alone. You don't want any critiques. You don't want it to be changed, or you like it just as is. There's a sort of a possession about it. Now, the thing that's beautiful is these ideas and opinions are wonderful. No one's saying don't have them. It's about letting them go out into the ether to become a part of these other wands. Again, see the same wand imagery right here. Imagine if you put them out there, imagine them coming back to you in a form of, again, not to be redundant with the jargon, opportunity. With you being able to see, like, sorry, I'm tripping over my words because I was itching for a quick second. This is you saying like, okay, I'm going to be okay if whatever it is that I want to put out there is going to be changed into something new. It's not getting ruined. I know it feels frustrating because it feels like it's yours. It can feel kind of vulnerable, but knowing that you have this constant flow of ideas and opinions that are wonderful and valid. And the more you sort of let go of that hold of it, it's actually going to come back to you in tenfold in a way that's going to take you further than where you were at right now. So again, same thing, keep up that thought process, keep up that creative inspiration that's naturally flowing through. It's great. It's just you're going to need to sort of loosen your grip, if you will, on it. But I'm happy to say once you get into that comfortable flow of it, it becomes this beautiful cycle of you putting out into the ether, receiving it back, creating more inspiration, putting it out, receiving back. But again, when I say this, I'm not referring to opportunities as an inspiration. I'm referring to opportunities as in like, making money, doing creative projects you want to do. We're talking about the big positive stuff, which is fantastic. I also want to talk about for one just quick second and say that one thing I love about Eight of Wands is like, it's one of those really fun time periods where like one moment you're like, oh man, I have nothing to do, I'm so bored. And the next it's like you're going to your friend's place later, you have a concert with another friend this day, you got involved in a project at work where you get to do totally new things. Outside of work, you're getting another opportunity to do something like a freelance gig, and before you know it, you're just like, your plate's full. It's that kind of fun vibe. So I love this for you. Again, you're doing great. Just sort of loosen your grip and do not I'll just leave it at that. Just, you know what I'm saying. Anyways, last but not least, when we talk about preparing and opening up for putting yourself in a position where you can receive what you really want. Now, this is what I really love. This is one of my favorite things that I talk about in the tarot course, but you'll notice in all my readings. Well, no, it depends on the reading. But in sometimes when you're reading, you'll notice a lot of overlapping concepts and ideas, and that is just fantastic. It's a sign that well, when you're reading the cards accurately, but it starts to make you look at life differently and start to see how these things overlap naturally. And this is again very much in my intuition training course, and how you start to see how they're all connected and how each one can benefit the other. And I love that. So going on, we have the imagery here of this Ace of Swords pointing to the Ace of Pentacles, pointing to the Sun card. Now, in this particular case, they're all being read in reverse. And the reason why I say that is if you're familiar with my readings, just because a card is in reverse doesn't mean it's being read in reverse. But in this particular case, my spirit guide said it is being read in reverse. So this is why I thought this was so interesting. So in order to prep yourself and open up and get yourself in that right, again, we're talking about getting in a space of receiving so you're ready to receive it. We have you not thinking as clearly, not thinking about the future in order to be in a place of inner happiness. Let me explain this really clearly. Normally the Ace of Swords in reverse is actually a negative thing. It talks about this idea of like mental fog, like you're not thinking straight, maybe bad judgment, that type of thing. But in this particular case, it's this idea of like, you don't need another new idea. You don't need to be focused in all the details. You actually want to take on a new state of mind of, if you don't know all the details of how something's going to work, if you don't have all of the explanation, you're going to just kind of ride with it. You're going to be like, okay, I know some of the stuff, whatever. I know enough to do whatever I need to do via like your job or hanging out with friends. I've got enough of information. But you're going to allow yourself to maybe not know some stuff and sort of loosen that grip. Again, it's a new way. We talked about this. It's a new perception. Might be a little uncomfortable at first, but you're just going to have to try it out. You're going to love the results in the end. That's one thing I love my spirit guides always say. They always say you'll love the results. Now, this then leads to the Ace of Pentacles in reverse. Now, what's really interesting about this is this card more talks about the concept of like new opportunities. So when it's in reverse, it's this idea of like, you're not going to get those opportunities, that type of thing. It means a bunch of other things. But in this particular case, my spirit guide said this represents this idea of like focusing on what's the next thing you can receive for the future. What's the next thing you're looking for towards the future? And you're going to take a break from that. You're going to stop. We talked about that before. You're just going to stop that type of thinking. Anytime you catch yourself in that jargon, you're going to just simply change the subject on yourself. Again, so you're not thinking about things too much in the future. You're not super focused on the details. And then this is what leads to the Sun card in the reverse. In the Sun card in reverse, when it's normally upright, it's actually a very cute Sun card. Look how cute the Sun card is. Look at him taking a little nap. So when it's upright, it represents this idea of happiness in a very like idealized, you're on the other side of the grass being greener kind of way. You get what I'm saying. It's very cool. However, when it's in reverse, this is more about finding that inner happiness, not on the outside of your environment and how you're making jokes with other people, but inner peace. It's being able to find this sense of relaxation you were looking for that you couldn't quite find from any activity. you know, it's that confidence that people are like, man, any outfit you wear, you just like pull off. There's just something about you. That sense of, I know who I am. I feel confident about it. I feel relaxed and feel like I don't have anything to prove. And I just feel pretty happy. Again, we're not saying just go have inner peace. It's these things that are bringing you into that state of mind, and all of this prepping and headspace leads you into be a really good position to receive. And just real quick before I conclude this, what do I mean when I say that? I should have clarified this in the beginning. No worries, I'll clarify it now. It's really interesting, but when people manifest or try to receive their dreams, they're like, why haven't I got it yet? Interestingly enough, the way you receive is just as important as you're manifesting. And if you're not in a headspace for receiving, essentially it will sort of go past you. Wait until you are in a headspace of receiving. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's like you could have manifested it just fine, but you were sort of closed up and you didn't know you were. So this is essentially opening you up. It's relaxing you. It's putting you in a perfect state to receive all these opportunities, to receive that different perception. And you know what the ironic thing is? I love that in order for you to get what you want, you already get what you want. Because when we're in that inner peace of happiness, it usually feels like everything else is just a nice cherry on top, but we're already pretty good. So I love that. It's pretty much this reading ends with like, and you get everything. As per usual, you know I always love that for you guys. So please, if you liked this video, help it get lots of views by giving it a like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of my videos. I am sincerely wishing you the best. I'm happy it's all working out for you. I'll see you in the next one, and let's get ready for group number 2. Group number 2. Let's look at those October predictions by looking at the cards. We have 5 of Swords in reversed, the Moon card upright, the 10 of Swords in reverse, the King of Swords in reverse. Oh wow, another this is a King of Bats is really King of Swords. And Page of Pentacles or Page of Pumpkins, and King of Pentacles or King of Pumpkins. Give me one moment to look at everything. I can already hear my spirit guide. Okay, let me look at the details of this and consult my spirit guide. I will be with you in one moment. This is cool. This is very cool. Oh, I love this. Okay, let's get right into it. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. So first here in this group, we have what is currently haunting you that it's now time to let go of. This one is surprisingly fantastic. I love it. So in the Moon card, this is the representation of sort of a dream. It's interesting. This dream doesn't really feel set in stone. It's like something you ponder, and you do know what it is, but compared to other people who speak about this thing that you have in your mind, it feels like a possibility, not something set in stone. It feels far off. You wonder what, how to get there. What would it take to get there? Could it even happen? And it feels very dreamy and light. But it is a focus for you. You do think about it. But again, it's not like other people who are like, I'm going to do this. This is going to happen, X, Y, and Z. But here's the thing that's really interesting. In the 5 of Swords in reverse, we're mostly focusing on the imagery. And we're looking at somebody who feels like if they did sort of set something more in stone, very much like the sword sort of, I like to think of this imagery as like, cutting through like mental fog and things in your way, and just being very direct and concise and clear and being like, this is what I want, compared to the more dreamier fashion of the Moon. It feels like there'll be a bunch of reasons why it can't happen. I don't want to say there's fear around this, but maybe a light reluctance because you don't want to deal with this sort of conflict, or you're just concerned of the idea of it existing at all. That's the main thing I want to focus on, the idea of blockages. But here's the really interesting thing of what's haunting and you're going to let go of, and what it actually means. So the moon card, if you're familiar with my tarot training course, I went into like an extensive research at the Akashic Records about all the different planets and stuff like that and their meanings. But the moon card, the moon's really interesting just as a planet. It represents spiritually this idea of something being in your way, like something blocking it, very much with like the moon going around the earth and the sun and the way sometimes it can align up. But you're meant to realize and see a blockage. Like when you're seeing it and the moon card pops up, it's this idea that you're actually not having something in your way. The blockage is hinting that there's something behind it. So it's sort of the first stage to catch your attention. It's like you couldn't possibly first notice, or I don't want to say couldn't possibly, but you're just not currently seeing what would have caught your, what you would have liked to catch your attention, the end point, but the blockage caught your attention. So one, it helped get your attention to know like, hey, there's something behind there. But also, in order to better understand the endpoint, you kind of need to understand the blockage. So the blockage is actually not a blockage at all. It's a part of the puzzle of the deeper understanding. And that's the main thing we're letting go of. So my spirit guide said specifically with you, there are no blockages. That when you feel like something is in your way, or you're not quite getting the whole, thing that you want, or understanding or truth of something, you're actually not being blocked, you're being given a clue. And the fact that you notice it is you're already on the right path. You're sort of like, it's a very abstract way of saying you're seeing a ring in the ladder of going towards the progression of where you like to go, another step in the stair type of concept. But again, it's not something in your way. It's like a book you're going to read, a greater understanding to something else. It's the prelude to something else. So one, it's this idea that one, you should dream and go for your dreams. Again, this is not a concept that being dreamy and very vague is a negative thing, because not everybody who goes towards things they want have that very declarative attitude. Sometimes people just kind of fall into things. They had a notion and they dream their way there. That might be the way you float. Oh wait, my spirit guide's talking. They say it is. So I just want to be clear about that. There's nothing wrong with that notion. It's the idea that if you're hesitating, if you think that there are blockages or you're worried about blockages, go towards them. They're not actually. You can rename them. They're messages for you. There's something you can understand. They're an understanding that you're on the right track and that there is more, but it is something that helps you better understand the end result. So I love that for you. Beautiful, mysterious, makes you view life in a whole new way. Also, I am feeling like super high vibrational right now, so I hope you're vibing that too. Now going on over here, we have what is no longer serving you. There's actually a particular person popping up, and the King of Swords. They're extremely oppressive. It's kind of interesting because like in the Emperor in reverse, that's someone who just wants to control you. This is different. This feels like they have intense domineering energy and they sort of like want to press it and push it against you. They like want you to feel their sort of intensity. They're definitely somebody who, my spirit guide said you see them very often. They're a predominant person in your life. And there's someone you would notice because there's a lot of sort of, like, I don't know if I want to, let me just double check with my spirit guide. Okay, I just wanted to check the right jargon to explain this. It's like they want to show you how smart they are and how much they have greater knowledge than you, or can like outwit you in an idea or a plan kind of concept, and the way you approach projects, or maybe you were trying to get around them, that type of thing. But I'm happy to report as a sort of confirmation of letting go, but we have an exercise for you to practice in order to move this along, get this person out of your life. So in addition to this, what I love is that you got the Ten of Swords in reverse rather than upright. The reason why this is very positive is instead of leaving you with sort of an omen, and unfortunately sometimes that just happens. Sometimes we have to get really serious in order to find understanding and get out, when we need to understand, like, hey, this is serious. And so if it was upright, that would imply like, hey, this person is bad news, it's really serious, get out of there. But in this case, it's in reverse. This again, not only is the confirmation of like, you're gonna do it, you're gonna do great, you're gonna get out of there. Let me just double check my spirit guide. Oh, yeah, nice. My spirit guide said absolutely confirmed. But in addition to that, it talks about this idea of when you are avoiding something and you basically are like dodging a bullet is the best way I can say it. So like this implies like, hey, this is not going to go in a direction you're going to really like. And if you do whatever you can to kind of get out of this circumstance and situation, you're going to in the long run be like, whew, really made the right choice there, really had that confirmation there. And it feels more than just the catharsis of being like, yeah, didn't love them, didn't love their vibe, so happy they're not around. It's like you find out later in life like, ooh, they went in a direction I did not love, really extra thankful, wasn't even involved with them, that type of concept, or whatever they were doing, that type of thing. But I want you to look at the imagery of here. When it's in reverse, and this is actually a great way to look at a lot of cards in reverse if you're a new tarot reader or you're just a tarot reader yourself. If something is in reverse, well, think of gravity. Those swords are going to fall out. And think about what a perfect pairing and imagery this card reading is. This is like another confirmation of like you're in a good flow of reading your cards. This person would have been sort of throwing them at you, and you want them removed. How are we going to remove them? Through this exact imagery of the reverse of them just naturally falling out and gravity taking them out. But you're going to, and this is the exercise, every time they sort of try to exercise this thought process on you, this energy, you're going to take a second, even if you need to pause in the middle of what you're doing and close your eyes or excuse yourself in the bath and go to the bathroom and do it, whatever it is you need to do. And you're going to really think about this idea of whatever they said, taking the form of a sword. And you're going to think of it just falling out, falling away from you, removing itself from you. And you're going to constantly repeat this imagery in your head until it becomes its. And keep in mind, when it comes to being able to multitask, this is a skill. You develop it by practicing it. You can do it. Don't worry if it's not exactly clear or perfect or you get distracted. Just keep practicing it. Don't worry, it gets easier. But you're just going to constantly imagine this idea of anything they're putting your way just keeps falling away from you like gravity. And you're going to see it, and you're going to see it being removed. And you can even go a step further if you want and really feel and take on this mentality of like relief. Like think of like a sigh. Or like when, when somebody like drinks like a really good like glass of lemonade or something like that, and you have this sort of like, that tasted so good, that type of sensation, like put something towards it. You can even go the next level with your sort of integration with what you can make yourself and experience and feel that. But you're going to keep practicing it over and over and over again. Now, I know this seems unusual, but you're going to be really excited with how things unravel, because this is a fantastic exercise, and I want you to remember this when you've had the success of seeing where it goes, that your mind is an incredible thing and your willpower is an amazing thing, and you can do some amazing stuff in this world just by simply realizing how much more in control you are of it. But a great way to realize you're in control of it is to acknowledge it in this first-hand way, like give it sort of a tangibility, give it something to kind of focus on, and then you put yourself in it, you give tangibility to your own actions and say, okay, and now we're removing it. Okay, now instead of just saying terms like, let go of it, they have no power over you. We're giving a tangibility to something, and we're then taking action and using it. And you're basically saying to the universe, this is all that's happening to me. I'm constantly letting go of this. I'm constantly being unbothered by this. This can't affect me, so on and so forth. But you're really showing that. And it will all work out. I know that seems very up in the air, but you don't need to worry about the details for now. It's all going to work itself out, and that's going to be removed from you. Just keep up that imagery constantly. And I just want to say this one last thing before I move on. Even if you feel emotionally still affected by it, just do the best you can to keep repeating it. It's not about feeling perfect. My spirit guide was like, nope, it's not about that. It just keep thinking of the imagery, keep focusing on it. And when you see the effect, when you see the results and they're no longer in your environment, remember this. Remember that this is not the only way you can exercise your sort of control over your life. Anyways, going on. Now let's talk about what you can do in order to be in a better place to receive. Now, what do I mean when I say that? I didn't say this in the beginning, so I'm going to get in the habit of explaining it now. But when you are manifesting, not a lot of people talk about this, but just because you're manifesting, you would have no idea. You just might not be receiving. There is a different sort of skill set, and both can easily be practiced and whatever. But in order to get in that same place, so you put out into the world, this is what I would like to happen, because again, this area is all about what you would like to happen, but we're talking about what state of mind can you get into in order to be ready, so when it comes your way, you can actually have it. That's a huge reason why people are like, hey, I'm manifesting, I'm not getting what I want. It's like, no worries. You are doing a great job. You just got to get into a certain place to be able to have it. So the thing that's interesting here is the way people either manifest or, again, receive is really just person to person, case by case, which I love. So here you are represented in the middle with the Page of Pentacles upright. And over here we have two kings. I love it. Totally taking on different meanings. Also, this is a good reminder. I do talk about in my tarot course that when you have repeating cards, they're significant, or they sometimes can talk about the same subject, but sometimes they have no relationship to each other. It just depends from card reading to card reading. I'm just putting that out there. But we have two options for you. In the King of Swords upright, my spirit guide said that this involves something to do with writing. Now keep in mind, this could be anything. This could be writing. Maybe you're a writer, maybe you're a journalist, maybe it's some form of job or something where you're going to have to physically write. Can it involve typing? Yeah. Okay, cool. Yes, okay, cool. So, I mean, that's writing too, but you get what I'm saying. It's something to do very focused on that. My spirit guide's going correct. But over here in the King of Pentacles, this is representing something physical. Again, it's very hands-on. Maybe it's a labor job, like a construction job. Maybe it's this idea of maybe it's something to do with like a particular skill or craft you have that you can do with your hands, something like that. But here you are in the third option. You already know there's a third option. You're seeing these two things. These are predominant things being like, here are your two choices. Here's where you can go. But you kind of feel like you're being pulled somewhere else. It feels new. You don't quite have all the experience or knowledge or, in this day and age, people really like proof of a certain amount of years of doing a skill before they do something, especially when you're being like brought up. It can be overwhelming to just do something totally new, but yet that's where you're being pulled. You already know it, and you should totally take it. That, ironically, I don't know if ironic's not the word, I just think it's really interesting that decision alone to go somewhere else, to do something different, despite these two predominant things kind of like being like, these are your best options, or these are what are the most predominant, is the simple action that puts you in a place to get what you want. Now, the thing that's really interesting is this third thing could be the thing that you want, and then you get it. So you chose it and then you got it. Or maybe you said to the universe, you know what, I'm not that simple. I know that there's, no matter what situation I'm in, I know there's always something else I can do outside of even the options I'm being given offered. What you're basically saying to the universe, and then it's being reflected back at you, my life is infinite. My options are infinite. My success is infinite. My happiness, I will always have options. No matter what, I will always get exactly what I want, even if I don't quite know what I want. So I love that for you. Very cool, very great decision making, and I think that's really fun. So I hope you enjoyed this reading as much as I did. I hope you feel my good vibes. And also, please give this video a like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. I'm wishing you the best. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. And let's get ready for group number 3. Group number 3, let's look at your October predictions by looking at the cards. We have 4 of Swords upright. I was looking at the imagery and I was like, reverse? Three of Cups in reverse, Strength card in reverse, the Knight of Wands in reverse, the Magician upright, the Page of Bats or Page of Swords in reverse, and the 10 of Bats or 10 of Swords in reverse. Okay, give me one moment to look at the details of everything and to consult my spirit guides. Okay. Oh, fun. I love that these two are related. They're all actually related. Yeah, they're all related. Oh, I love this. The reason why I really love when everything intertwines is it tends to be this great thing where you positively affect one thing in your life, it then positively affects another, and so on and so forth. But it also shows us not only how everything is connected, but by asking a question in different sort of ways or formats, but they're sort of similarly towards a same subject or concept, we can get so many different perspectives and avenues, and sometimes it takes all of those perspectives to fully be like, okay, this is what, I really understand the subject now, I really know what I do, I understand the motivation, all that good jazz. So I love that this is all connected for that reason. Okay, so first let's start off with this group over here with the Four of Swords upright and the Three of Cups in reverse. This is just a friendly reminder as always that tarot is super flexible. You can read it however you want, so on and so forth, because my spirit guides are talking to me about the concept of truth over here. But the Queen of Swords is more traditionally associated with truth, but the imagery is really important to express this idea when it comes to the swords representing expressing yourself, opinions, that type of idea, being vocal. So just understand that if you feel that sort of pull when you're reading your own cards for yourself and you feel it being like, I feel like it's associated with this, but it's not traditionally associated with the cards, follow those instincts. You're picking up on something. So anyways, going back onto this. So over here in the Four of Swords upright, this shows you sort of at a standstill. There's a frustration. There's this feeling of like being unable to let go of what you feel is the truth. As you can tell with the other remaining imagery in her hair, it creates more sort of swarming thoughts in her mind. And it's this idea that's different than the Nine of Swords, where that's more just like repeating thoughts over and over and over again and feeling trapped by them. This is you like actively holding on and being like, I can't go forward or backwards because it's important to me that this gets seen or discussed. I can't let this go kind of concept. Again, not out of like a grudge, but more of, I don't want to say justice, that's like too strong of a word, but it's important to you. Now, why is that? We have over here in the Three of Cups in reverse. Now, this is specifically about two other individuals. My spirit guide was keeping it pretty vague instead of specifically saying it was like only friendship, or I mean, it could be romantic. Could it be coworkers too? Definitely could be coworkers. Could it be all three? Yes, that's why. Okay, see, this is exactly why when you're communicating with your own spirit guides and stuff like that, sometimes the vagueness is meant to create a larger scope and a larger subject matter, and you can just ask and find out those details. So, anyways, there's sort of like a triangle thing going on between you and two other individuals, and it's very much that pull where no matter the circumstance, we just went over a couple different subjects. It's this feeling of like, well, I have this sort of opinion or agenda of what I would like to happen, and they're being pulled over here, and then this person's also feeling pulled between you and this other person, but then that other person is also kind of being drawn to you, and it's this confusing thing where everybody has where they would like things to go, or even like when you're hanging out with friends, you know how sometimes if there's a group, no matter how small or large the group, it's like you feel you have a different sort of night out with some friends compared to
others. And sometimes it can be frustrating if you're within a group being like, oh, that's not the kind of night I wanted a more chiller night. And it's that sort of figuring out the social dynamic that is like not terribly at odds. It's just because everyone's so opinionated with where they would like things to go, and there's so much confusing overlapping, that's where it's this pull in time. So then this is where you come in with this concept of being like, you want to be heard. It's not that you're not being heard. It's that you're having to deal with other people's perspectives and where they would like the circumstances to go. So again, it's not actively like everyone's against you. It's not like that. I mean, they feel that same way too. I wouldn't describe it as exactly like this, but they too also want to be heard or have things go a certain way, but you all kind of can't help but be drawn to one another. Now here's the interesting thing is this pile is representing the idea of what's haunting you and you should let go of. So my spirit guide said something that stuck with me. They said, this is representing the truth. And they said, what's more important for you, to feel the truth or make everybody be aware of this truth, or like stick to it in that kind of way? Force the truth. That's how they said it. They said, are you feeling the truth or are you forcing the truth? That's how it was said. And again, it doesn't mean that you saying like, this is my opinion, this is how I feel is wrong. It's more that because you're so focused on that in this dynamic, in this circumstance amongst several other people, it's not allowing you to see all the different perspectives of how you can see the group as a whole. And I'm not talking about their perspectives. I mean, that's lovely too. We're talking about, you might see one version when you back away from this where you're like, I don't know if I want to have such a complicated circumstance. And that's one perspective. Another perspective could be like, you know what? I really like my dynamic with this person in this way and this person with this way. Maybe I could try individualizing the hangout or doing this. It's like you can't even see these other things if you're only stuck in being like, this is the truth. This is how it is. And if you can loosen your grip and be like, okay, I'm gonna relax on that. It doesn't mean what I feel and think doesn't matter, but I'm gonna see if there's other ways that I can go about this, look at it as a whole, look at the dynamic as a whole, in order to have the most amount of comfort and make the best decisions from there. Again, it's not about making mistakes or anything like that. It's about pulling yourself sort of out of what feels like almost a tornado, like it just keeps whirling around, sucking you back in, pulling in a cycle, and no one's kind of getting anywhere. This is you pulling yourself out by being able to let go of what you think is an anchor, but it's more anchoring you to the bottom of this whirlpool, and you're sort of being able to look at the situation and being like, okay, what do I want to do with this? Is this even a whirlpool? Could I compartmentalize this and see it as a couple different lakes? You know what I'm saying? So just something to think about to make the situation more comfortable, because we're not talking about it being like bad. It's just about you figuring out how to move forward and get the outcome that you're happiest with, but feel like you're left, no matter how it works out, being like, okay, you know what? I do know how I felt, and I did feel heard, at least by myself or even them, or we figured it out, or, oh, wow, I wasn't even seeing that sort of blind spot because I was so focused on this, and now that I can see it, you know what, I'm going to let this go. That kind of thing. You can figure it out from there. Now, moving on over here, this is how they start to intertwine again. This, I'm just double checking this as them. Yes. Okay. So in this imagery, you're over here on the strength card in reverse, and one of the individuals in this triangle we have going over here is the Knight of Wands in reverse. Now, you are sort of holding back the line, if you will. Now, this represents this idea of, if we're going to be honest, frustration and anger. You're a little, like, why do you have to settle? Or why aren't you being heard? Or why is this unnecessarily more complicated than it needs to be? And you feel like you have these opinions, but there's a part of you that, because you care about this other individual, again, remember, we're talking about many different circumstances. We talked about friendship, coworkers, romance, everything. This other individual, you don't want to express yourself in that way towards them. You care about them. You don't want them to take any brunt of that. Sometimes there's a self-consciousness or an uncomfortability to feeling that emotion, because it's not always fun to feel that emotion. It's not necessarily that you're avoiding it, but not everyone wants to feel that emotion. So there might be a part of you that's like holding that back for that reason. But here's the thing. What's happening in the end is you're sort of getting the bite, if you will, and you're losing track of your own self and benefit in the hopes that you would protect them. But let's get a little deeper into this. So one, my spirit guide did say that in the Knight of Wands in reverse, this individual is sort of caught attention-wise by exciting new things. They're distracted. They want to go to the next thing that gets them pumped. And them sort of being distracted and pulling away, or maybe not giving that attention we talked about over here that you're looking for, is actually not personal. It doesn't mean that it's not frustrating in the moment when it's happening, but if it's any sort of closure, it's really them not having any real issues with you. They're not leaving you. They're not ignoring you. They're just like distracted. And it's not because you're not exciting. They have their own sort of like attention span, if you will, that they're following. And that's not, I mean, everyone, when it comes to the Knight of Wands in reverse, sort of just deals with that. That doesn't mean necessarily they always like ditch people and stuff like that. I want to be clear about that. But it is just this idea that if you're feeling like, oh no, what am I doing? I need to sort of pull back some of my inner, opinions because I want to come across a certain way, come across as more inviting, that type of thing. The reality is they're not leaving you either way because of you expressing yourself. And we're not even talking about leaving you in general. We're just talking about this idea of they're distracted. Their attention is going somewhere else and you don't feel like they're like giving you the same sort of one-on-one because, again, this distraction of the triangle and everything like that. So basically, when it comes to this, talking about the idea of releasing what no longer serves you, this is about you holding back when it comes to your opinion. You're going to basically release the beast, if you will. And again, this is not giving permission to be a cruel person or freak out on them, because projection's just like not a positive, like healthy thing for society or anyone like that. But it is also not negative to say like, hey, this is how I feel. I feel frustrated. This is the dynamic going on and I would like things to change. Maybe we would work better as coworkers. We would work better as a friendship group if you were aware of X, Y, and Z. And I feel a little annoyed that you haven't been really giving your attention and you're simply just pulling their attention back, and you're not ruining anything. You're just honestly putting yourself first and being able to not hold yourself back to be the most exuding, vibrant version of yourself. Like a fantastic way of thinking about this is the Empress card. So she just sort of is always exuding this abundance that just constantly radiates from her. Everywhere she walks, there's leaves and foliage just popping up in the grounds in the area around her as she walks around. So she doesn't hold herself back. Think of it in that way. Again, it's not about projecting. It's about this idea that like, if this is a part of you, you don't need to smush it down inside of you just so someone will like you or you think it will make the group work better. You have an opinion and you feel an emotion for a valid reason, and it's totally okay to let someone know like, hey, let's talk. What's the deal? Let's figure some stuff out. Let me get your attention again. So again, when you feel that urge to be like, no, I forget it, it's not worth it, or, I wish they would notice, or like, no, I just don't feel comfortable, express it. Express it. You're better off. Express it. Now, continuing on, this section right here is about what can you do to sort of prep yourself to be more open in a position of receiving to have what you want. Now, this is really great. I forgot to say this in the beginning, so I'm repeating it here. But everyone talks when it comes about manifesting, as in manifesting, but nobody actually talks about receiving. And that's the thing that's so cool. Receiving is just as important as the skill as developing with manifestation. So sometimes we practice different things in order to be in that state of receiving. It's really interesting when it comes to both of those things because depending on the circumstance, who you are, where you're at in your life, whatever, the different manifestation style can change, the receiving style can change. You get what I'm saying. So we're talking about specifically what's working for you now, in order to prep you so that as you're manifesting, you're saying to the universe, like, this is what I want, you'll be in the state to then receive it. Because that's why often when people are manifesting, they're like, man, I'm not getting it. It doesn't mean you're not manifesting. You could potentially be manifesting just fine, but you're not in a state of receiving, which is actually, man, I should totally do a separate tarot spread about that. If you guys are interested, please let me know in the comments below. Anyways, going back to what we were talking about here. So, we have you here in the Magician card, and the state of receiving is sort of a two-actioned idea. So, the Magician card here in this particular case is representing you being able to tap into this aura or character of being able to really show your best self. It's like, for a job interview, or maybe you're about to give a presentation to other people, or maybe you're, making some fun content of some kind. When you are doing that, you put on your best face and you're really dazzling people and showing your knowledge and your skill, and you're really putting on a show, so to speak. Again, it's not the focal point that it's like specifically entertaining. It's just like we all have been in different circumstances throughout our lifetime where we're putting on the best version of ourselves. But being able to tap into that headspace of being like, oh, I got this, confidence, sort of leaks over for you into a way of then going as far as manifesting, it's like fake it till you make it, but on a more extreme note. It's like, you know what? I could learn guitar. And then before you know it, you're in just such a headspace, you're able to easily open up and start playing guitar. You know what I mean? Like, you start playing it, but you feel like you're learning it quicker than you normally would. And then before you know it, you're like, man, I've just really been in this headspace. I think I really got this. Yeah, this is so easy. Because again, you're putting in that best, that attitude of like, yep, I got this, I can do this, look at this. And again, it's not about entertaining just others, or not entertaining at all, but showing this to others. It's also something you can tap into for yourself in that kind of way. But with that dynamic and you practicing that within your own sort of private space as well as with other people, there's this other dynamic you want to be aware of, because it's almost like this is the state of mind to be in, these are the potential blockers, and we're going to remove those potential blockers. Fun fact, on my Patreon, I actually have a whole video about talking about blockage. I have a lot of content talking about blockages, removing blockages, but I have a whole guided meditation on how to remove your biggest blockage when it comes to your own psychic abilities. And fun fact, manifesting, receiving, all that jazz, it's psychic. So anyways, going back on to what we were talking about here, the 10 of Swords in reverse is representing these little bats. As you can see, it's in reverse, so those bats are leaving this individual. My spirit guide said this is representing this really like negative vibe of someone else. And it's less that they are trying to oppress you. Let me just, wait, how my spirit guide's shaking their head? Yeah, okay, so my spirit guide was like, no, I'm not shaking your head, you're wrong. They were agreeing, like, as in, like, yep, they're not, like, shaking your head, like, no, they're not trying to do this on purpose. But they're very negative, super opinionated, and kind of, like, when they come into the room and they're expressing themselves, you feel like you kind of can't get a word in edgewise. It's very dominating in its opinion type of concept. And as you can see, this leaves this individual and comes into your space over here where you're represented as well as the Magician as in over here in the Page of Swords in reverse. So now this is representing, when we're talking about the page, this is someone who's a sort of naive. And we're not actually saying you're naive. My spirit guide said, don't act naive when it comes to your own opinion and knowing what to do. Like, you know how to sort of step in and say like, hey, I don't really want to hear about this stuff anymore, or disagree to sort of take back the energy of the space and say like, again, you're not trying to go head to head. This is not about a fight. They're not in any negative arguments with you. It's not about that at all. It's just someone coming in with this energy and you sort of setting the groundwork to be like, hey, stop. Okay, that's cool, but like, that's not what I really want to experience. And then either removing yourself, but when you are just sitting there, and when we use the term naive, again, we're not saying that you are naive, but the page is still in a learning process. You're not in a learning process. You know better, but don't just sit there and force yourself to learn a lesson you don't need to learn, where you're just letting someone take up the space, take up the opinion, take up this, you're starting to feel your emotions being swayed by their expression. Remove yourself, express yourself, stand your ground, and you already know how to do this, essentially. It's like, it's a lesson you don't need to learn. But by being able to exercise that skill and ability and regularly keep your space as it is when it comes to this expression and kind of pushing out that other stuff as we just talked, mixed with this practice, again, actively being in that headspace of being like, you know what, I got this. I'm going to take on the state of mind that I'm like, playing a character, and this character's really good at being charismatic, or this character's really good at playing guitar, and then get in that headspace and start exercising it. And you're keeping that mantra, just keeping that headspace over and over and over again as it continues to leak over to other sort of skills and abilities and things naturally absorbing into faster and faster because of that mentality. So I love this for you. It's a lot of being aware that you are more than welcome to express yourself, but also knowing when to let go of certain things, that you're not letting them go because they're not true, but being able to see the situation as a whole to make better circumstances. And honestly, like vibing and being like the best showman or showwoman you can, or show person you can be, and basically thriving to not only open yourself up to others and opportunities and show your best possible self, but open yourself up to the universe and saying like, I'm capable of anything, and being in that state of mind to receive it, as well as letting other people know your space, which is very, very cool. So please, with this video, leave it a like, a comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any one of my videos. I am wishing you the best. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. And let's get ready for group number 4. Group number 4. Let's find out your October predictions by looking at the cards. We have the Page of Wands upright, the Queen of Cups upright, the Hangman upright, the Four of Cups in reverse, the Nine of Pumpkins or Pentacles upright, the Temperance card upright, and the Emperor card in reverse. Fun fact, actually in my video on Patreon, the Empress actually mentions the Emperor and what that relationship looks like, and it's not what you would think it is. So just letting you guys know that. So anyways, let me look at everything. Let me look at the details of the cards and consult my spirit guides, and I will be with you in one moment. Interesting. Okay, I'm getting a flavor. So, a flavor of who you are. So over here we have what's haunting you and you can let go of. You know, it's been basically hanging out for a little while. So, well, let me just check my spirit guide. They're saying something. Oh, my spirit guide said it hasn't been a while. It's recent. Okay, glad. Thank you for the clarification. In the Queen of Cups, this is an individual, specifically a woman, who you admire quite a bit. Now, the thing that's really interesting here is you're really drawn to the way she expresses herself. Now, my spirit guide said that there is a bit of an energy confusion, like you think you're down with her vibe and her energy, but you're not actually really feeling that. You're more connecting to the way she expresses herself. You're just like, wow, that's so cool. I'm really into that vibe. I want to emanate that. I want to be that way as well. And that's getting expressed over here in the Page of Wands upright. But as you notice, the cups is for emotion. So she has herself tapped into herself through her emotions. She knows who she is. She's not shy about being able to express it. She's very comfortable with admitting when she feels emotional or when she feels happy. She doesn't feel like she needs to hide that either. And she's very comfortable with herself being a multifaceted person and doesn't feel like she needs to be compartmentalized into one group, which is very alluring for you. However, what you really want to connect with, not that that's a negative thing, that's a fantastic expression of life, is the energy in the Page of Wands. You know when some people just have a vibe around them when they enter a room and you can kind of feel it, you feel drawn to them before they've even like expressed themselves? That's what you're actually searching for. And when they're talking and expressing yourself, you're like, yeah, I'm in it. That's what I want. And you agree and love what they're saying, but your thing and what you're really being drawn to is that sort of emanating feeling. Now, when we talk about the concept of feelings like something's lingering and what to let go of, we're talking actually more about the idea of your mindset that you need to somehow learn from them, copy them, putting any version of yourself as inexperienced. Because my spirit guide said that you're actually fantastic and, have it all inside you and you're good to go. You're ready to already be that person that has that cool vibe about them. And that when you keep saying to yourself, I hope I'm like that one day. Oh, not me. Oh, that'd be cool if I was like that. You're creating this mindset as if you are lacking experience, unable to do it, that in time you're sort of putting this thing that you would like and would like to connect to and you're driven to vibe with or create vibrationally outside of yourself is you're putting it in the future. In reality, you have it right now. In fact, not only do you not want to compare yourself to this other person, not that, and the fantastic thing of this situation is there's nothing wrong with this other individual. You can be friends with them, have a great time, but they are the queen of their own life, because kings and queens are like masters. They know what they're doing. They're really vibing at the top of the minor arcana of each suit. This person knows who they are, so they really rock with their emotions, and so they really lean into that. They understand that that defines them, and you're drawn to that because they've figured that out. It would be a really good idea to practice this type of meditation. It's kind of, I'm going to do the best I can to explain it in a short window. If you would like, I can make like a Patreon video where I go into like extensive detail. In fact, I might do that. But there is a way to sort of discover your own vibrational energy and your personal vibe. And at first, it's sort of just like a sensation, but over time, it will grow and you will feel that when you feel it, you can put some sort of characteristics to that idea, which then only helps it grow. And the more attention and time you put into it, the more you sort of emanate it out. But there's a way you can practice this. It's a fantastic meditation exercise. So you're going to start with something that you vibe with as an idea. You when it comes to your own vibration, you need something to kind of practice, something to kind of connect to. So you're going to start with an idea of meditating on the concept of, like, it could be love. It could be anything, but you're just going to choose an idea. It's going to be love. And you're going to really think about, like, sitting in it. You don't need to think about every detail, but just, like, think of the mantra over and over again. Like, I am radiating love. It's coming out of me. This is how I feel. And you're going to think of it as, like, a color growing in your chest. You're going to think of yourself just it becoming more larger and larger orb around you. And you're going to sit in it till you can kind of be familiar with the feeling of it. And when you get familiar with that feeling, you're going to get comfortable with your own sensation, which means you're going to focus all your attention inwards, even though you're going to feel nothing. And in the meditation, you're just going to just keep thinking about yourself over and over and over again, even if it's blank, even if it's nothing. It will start to kick in and you will start to notice some sort of a sensation. And you're going to do this the best you can without any judgment. You're not going to say it's cool, not good enough. You're not going to say anything. You're just looking at it as a blank slate. You're looking at like a painting in a museum. You're just looking at it. You're not judging it. You're just seeing what it is. But the more attention to it, and the second you start to notice that sense of energy, you're going to really give it attention in life. But remember, it's going to start off as like a hum that you don't even notice. And the more attention you give to it, the more you can tap into it and naturally radiate it. And then when you go out and you're living life, you can literally hone into that, like with your attention, with your focal point, and it will sort of come off of you in a stronger, larger amount, and people will notice. It will be intense, and you can even vocalize it. I can get really detailed with this if you want in like another video. I'd be happy to. It's like a very fun exercise, and it just shows how powerful meditation is. Anyways, going back to what you're talking about. Now over here, we have you overcoming a state of like, I can't do anything. I'm apathetic. I'm bored. Things are not really getting me excited, but what gets you excited, what pulls you out of this state of mind is when you have, in the Hangman, you're radically flipped around. And my spirit guide said that this is no longer serving you. You really need to sort of be aware that there's a part of you that is not allowing yourself to be like, okay, nothing's working for me. I'm bored. I'm just sitting here. I don't know what to do next kind of concept. And you're kind of waiting and expecting and asking the universe to put you in an almost uncomfortable position where it's not always a positive flip around of just being like, wow, I just won a trip to, I don't know, an exciting other country or whatever like that. This is much more like you're put in a difficult position where you're forced to make a choice, and you can have fun and get excited from that and change things to be in your favor, but you don't need to constantly be pushed to such an extreme to be able to get out of this mindset. It's sort of like you want to follow the itch before there's a scratch. So that just basically means that when you're in that state of mind and you're feeling like you're scrolling your phone and nothing's getting you pumped and nothing's getting excited and you want something to pull your attention, you're going to do the best you can if you slightly have a thought like, oh, that's cool, like maybe something when you were scrolling your phone, something that inspired you, got you excited. Immediately turn off that app, shut it out, and go look up how to explore that idea. It's more beneficial if you're exploring like a Wikipedia page or another like skill video, like YouTube video, or maybe you're going to go try it yourself where you're like focalized on a thing that gets you excited. Now remember, this sort of sensation is not very strong. It's going to be like kind of interesting, but you could so easily get distracted again by whatever you're looking at, or you're kind of lost in that bored mindset. It takes a lot of strength to be like, okay, I'm not that excited about what I'm about to go do, but it's a little interesting. I don't know if I want to dedicate my life to it, but I'm a little curious. Follow that. Pull yourself out, because you don't need to. It's not working for you anymore, and it's not helpful, and you don't want to be in more difficult circumstances to say to the universe like, hey, I'm not going to stop being in this mindset unless you really put me through something. Again, it's totally understandable and okay that you sometimes find these moments where nothing's getting you pumped. That's a very normal thing that most of us experience. But you're basically going to learn to be your own motivator and learn that, and practice that motivation and inspiration doesn't have to start off with a strong jolt, but once you sort of pull yourself in that direction, it can become that, and you can be the igniter of it. That's how I want to put it. You are your own lightning bolt, your own igniter. You don't have to wait for it to come to you. You can become it yourself. So it's an incredibly empowering message and more comfortable, because you don't have to be in situations where you're like, whoa, this is so uncomfortable. Like, how did this pop up out of nowhere? Why is this happening now? To get yourself out of a certain vocal, focus point that you're not really vibing with. So yeah. We're letting that go. We're practicing following those small little inclinations of looking somewhere else that does get us pumped and excited, even if it doesn't feel that way initially. Now, last but not least, we have receiving. What can you do to prep and open yourself to be in a better state of receiving when it comes to October? Now, I didn't talk about this beginning, so I'm going to repeat it here. But the fun thing is, people talk a lot about manifestation, but people don't actually talk a lot about receiving. And as much as manifestation is a skill, so is being able to receive. And the cool thing is, whatever practices you use and whatever point you are in your life, the technique for both changes due to the circumstances where you're at, that kind of thing. So what we're going to be talking about is the state of mind and what you can do in order to be in a position so that when you go, hey, universe, this is what I want, you will then have it, because you'll be ready for it, essentially. So over here we have the Nine of Pentacles, Nine of Pumpkins, very cute. And this person is very specific in their aura and their energy. This is sort of the state of mind you're going to get into and regularly practice every day. You're going to be in this state of mind. So this is somebody who's got a lot of money and they regularly feel comfortable spending it because they know it's always coming in. They know they can make more. And they are spending it on things that really enhance the quality of their life. So there's a comfortability to regularly spending money, and these are things that make them happier and not are just spending money to spend money. And that's the main focus point we're going to be here. So again, now, before you go, wait a minute, I'm just going to go spend a bunch of money. Hold on, we're going to actually talk about that in 1 second over here. But in the Nine of Pentacles, this is somebody who is, and this is what my spirit guide said, you're going to want to go, when you feel the inclination to purchase things, you're going to really go out of your way to go, I want to go shopping, I want to buy clothes. Don't buy another plain t-shirt. Go buy like a really unique like jacket or purse or sneakers or whatever you're vibing with accessory wise or anything, and you're gonna go find one that really feels like it expresses your true personality, and it's a little flair, it's got a little flavor to it, and you're gonna pick something that you feel like when you wear it, it really enhances and shows yourself and the world that you're special and worthy of giving attention to, kind of idea. Now, that's not the main focus and goal, but you get what I'm saying here. It's the same concept of like saying, like, let's say maybe you want to redecorate like your room or your house and being like, you know what, I'm gonna get like a really cool like armchair that like I am so pumped about. I'm not just gonna get a boring one. I'm gonna go look for one with a specific style, and maybe I'll even reupholster it or something like that. Again, it's not about the amount of money. You can spend however little or a large amount you want on yourself, but you're really going out of your way to get into a state of mind and being like, I've always got money, it's always coming my way, and you're going to allow yourself to dream of things that you want, but you're not just going to go, oh yeah, you know what, I have to get in that state of mind that I'm constantly abundant, and just start spending money rampantly on random things you're not that pumped about, but you just are trying to tell the universe you got a lot of money. But let's hold on for that for main point. We're practicing a state of mind and mantras mixed with certain other, I don't want to say limitations, but like, let's say right now you're not at the point where you can really fully do that full on a lot. So we're sort of faking it till you make it, so to speak, in a mindset. So we're saying to the universe, no, we're already there, without, emptying out all of our money when we're not in that position. So over here, we have the Emperor card representing this idea of like, you're going to let go of any type of control. So you're going to, when it comes to controlling your money, you're not going to get into any headspace where you're like, I don't have enough of it, I got to keep track of it. You don't have to constantly look over it. You don't have to constantly exercise your budget. You don't have to constantly worry about that. There needs to be a certain level of trust, not only that the universe will send you more money, but like, you're going to be self-aware when you can spend a certain amount. You don't have to constantly look over and keep track of that amount of money. So there's a certain level of just like, you check your bank account, know what you got, then move on and kind of like, don't think about it. Release a little bit of that control on it. But we have the Temperance card being a perfect explainer for how you're going to practice this mindset and mantra while being somewhat appropriate about your circumstance now. So in the Temperance card, this is somebody who finds balance, but instead of a balance like scales, it's like a balance of, think a bunch of different like little bottles and potions, and she's got put the perfect amount of each ingredient or liquid or whatever in each one in order to create the perfect concoction or thing that she needs, essentially. So this is about at times being like, okay, I have the money, I feel like I want to spend it, trusting myself in the universe that I'm going to make more money, and being a little more centralized with what you buy, but being like, you know what, I'm going to do it. I'm not going to make another excuse. I'm going to go treat myself. But then at other times, more practicing that idea and mindset through like Pinterest, or just like you say to yourself, you see something and you just mentally say to yourself, I'm going to buy that when I have money. I like that. And you're just giving yourself that freedom of like, oh, when I get this amount of money, which will be easy, I'm going to get that. And you kind of exercise it through the dream kind of you're keeping the idea of it really loose. It's like you're not practicing vocabulary that's like, what if, I hope. You're just always saying to the universe, like, oh yeah, I'm going to get that. I'm going to get that. Yep, it comes my way very easily. And you're just constantly practicing that low key energy within yourself that you're radiating and the universe. And essentially, you're not only currently right now really having like a thriving appreciation for what you already have and what you can do, and like really vibing and seeing the value of the enjoyment you're receiving from taking on the state of mind, being really focused about what you're purchasing for yourself. But you're also practicing being like, okay, well, if I am this person that's got all of this money, well, who would I be? And you'd be very low key about being like, yep, I'm going to get that. I'm going to get that. None of this, oh man, I wish, I hope, none of that. I'm going to get that. Yep, that's going to be mine soon. Next time I have that amount of money, I'm going to do that. Easily comes my way. And you just get into that mentality and you exercise it so much. You're sort of saying to the universe, like, hey, mirror this, send me more money. And it will. So I'm excited for you. So this is awesome. Pretty much like you got it all in you. Do a little bit of extra motivation to prevent being in unnecessary circumstances you don't love. Thrive, spend, enjoy, relax, but be self-aware of that nice balance depending on where you're at right now. And just live your best October. I hope you enjoyed this reading. Please leave it a like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. I'm really wishing you the best. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. And goodbye.